Did you change?
So yesterday we started talking about different parts of the reproductive system. We talked about some general information about the male reproductive system. What we're going to do now is finish up talking about the anatomy, and then we'll start to move into the female reproductive.
I just turned the page forward and it's kind of look like hands.
All right, so all right, so Ellie, that'll just help you for the other quiz. How about tomorrow? Since you watch the videos, yeah, we'll take it tomorrow.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so yesterday we talked about, guys, parts of the male reproductive system that are in common between excretory system, respiratory system. So basically that was just the urethra. Okay? The urethra was part of both systems. So now we'll talk about the actual specific parts of the reproductive system. So to begin, we talked about yesterday, the testes. So the testes are an organ in which it does two important things. Produces sperm cells and also the hormone testosterone, the male sex hormone. The testes are held in the scrotum, pouch of skin that keeps them slightly cooler than normal body temperature so that sperm can be produced most efficiently.
When we were talking about like testosterone or estrogen or whatever it's called, is that like a liquid or what is it?
It's a protein. Those are hormones. So they're just proteins that are secreted into the blood.
But like,
What kind of matter are
Proteins.
yeah.
They're like solid.
So
They're tiny little molecules. They're small molecules. Proteins.
I thought they were like little liquid.
Not the hormones, no.
That's weird.
So attached to the testes, where the sperm are produced, is this long tube. It loops up out of the scrotum into the body and then kind of loops around here. That long tube is called the vas deferens. And the vas deferens basically carries the sperm cells being produced in the testes and carries them to the urethra. Jack, you have a question?
Yeah. If they're like such small molecules, how could you possibly make it into like a pill for like steroids?
That's
So,
what yeah.
so they're just in there. So the molecule itself, if you were to take, like any hormone is basically a protein, whether it's testosterone or insulin or anything else. So if you have an insulin injection, for example, people that are diabetic have to inject themselves with insulin. They're not injecting themselves with pure insulin. It's been dissolved in a large amount of liquid. So the actual insulin molecules in that insulin injection is actually really small. Same thing with pills that you take. Often medications are put into a pill with like binders and other things just to make it large enough to handle and swallow and so forth.
If only like the human body can produce testosterone, how do they like even get it
Scientists can make specific chemicals. If we know the structure of a protein, it's made of a bunch of amino acids, and scientists can basically assemble those outside in a lab using chemical processes to make those. All right, so let's move back to the vas deferens loops up around, merges with the urethra. Now, does anyone know the name of a type of surgery that a man can have if he no longer wants to be able to make a woman pregnant? Vasectomy, and it comes from this term. So the vas deferens is the tube that carries the sperm cells. A vasectomy is when a man has a surgery and they cut the vas deferens tube so that sperm cells no longer can exit the man's body. And obviously, if a man doesn't release any sperm cells, he can't make a woman pregnant.
Wait,
Why would you?
What is this?
Jack, I was going.
What?
If you like cut the Vas Deferens or
Yep.
whatever, where does the sperm cells go? They
The
just
sperm-
leak out?
Nope, the sperm cells is sealed off, and the sperm cells are, basically they can be produced, but then because they're not leaving the
They don't
body,
produce
they
more?
basically just get sort of recycled and so forth. So that doesn't affect testosterone. The testosterone doesn't go into the vas deferens. The testosterone is going into the blood, so that's unaffected.
Just leak out?
Blood.
The testosterone just leaks out from the
No, it's
testes?
secreted directly into the bloodstream. That's how all glands work.
Oh.
They send their hormones directly into the blood to be circulated throughout the body. So as the vas deferens loops up, it goes along the way. There are several glands. We're only going to list two. But these glands, like the seminal vesicle, the prostate gland, what they do is they add different material to the sperm cells. Because remember, sperm cells are not released on their own, okay, during sex, but they're released with a mixture of fluids and nutrients that the sperm need to survive and make their journey to the egg cell. So one of those is the seminal vesicle. That's this one. And the seminal vesicle adds fluid that can nourish the sperm, provide them with energy that they need. And the other that sits just under the bladder is the prostate gland. The prostate gland is one you probably have heard of.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you can tell me, why has probably most of you heard of the prostate gland?
Oh.
Colin?
You can get like prostate cancer?
Yeah, because one of the most common types of cancer that affects men is prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is when cells in the prostate gland become cancerous. They start to reproduce sort of out of control, and that's what cancer is, and they sort of form tumors. So it's very common in men. My grandfather had prostate cancer, my father had prostate cancer. Probably chances are you know somebody that had it. So that's the prostate gland. And it does sort of a similar job as the seminal vesicle. It also adds fluid to the sperm cells. And so we were just talking about vasectomy. When a man does have a vasectomy, it means he doesn't release sperm cells, but the prostate gland, the seminal vesicle, and the other glands are still working. So during sex, he still releases semen, but it has no sperm in it, and therefore a woman can't get pregnant. But a vasectomy is a permanent surgery, so it's a means of birth control, but it's pretty much forever. Doctors can do a surgery to try and reverse it. Sometimes a man decides now they want to have children again, so they might try and have the vasectomy reversed, but it's not 100% that they're able to do that.
Why don't they just like do what they do with bypass?
Go around it, that's a good
Oh.
question. I just don't think that's the way they can do it. I think they try to just suture back the two ends of the tube. That's a good question.
Just
though.
sew it together.
And then finally, so as sperm are traveling through the vas deferens, the seminal vesicle adds fluid, the prostate gland adds fluid, and then they leave this mixture of materials called semen, leaves the man's body through the urethra, which travels through the penis. So the penis is for depositing semen into the female reproductive tract during sex to allow for a woman to become pregnant. So, next, all right, yeah, so just another view here, same kind of thing. Again, you see all the parts, the testes, testicle, testes means the same thing. Then you have the vas deferens looping up and around, merging with the urethra, seminal vesicle, prostate gland, adds that fluid, then out through the urethra, through the penis.
What's the little like hat the testicle is wearing?
That's called the epididymis. So the sperm cells are produced in the testes, but they're not mature. They go to the epididymis to mature, and then they're ready to exit the body and can make a
Got
little
the
pregnant.
epididymis.
I guess we won't really move on to the female reproductive system yet, but one point, so when, because prostate cancer is so common in men, eventually men will typically have their prostate gland checked to be sure that the signs that cancer can be starting are an enlarged prostate, and also certain chemicals show up in the blood, so blood tests can detect it, but also a prostate exam. Do you know how a doctor?
Yes, I know, Mr. DeRoss.
So
I understand. Get it.
how does a doctor actually?
You put on a glove
Ali?
and go to it.
Really? Years of that? Yeah, 1,000 years of that. They, 1,000 years of the
Yeah, so what is this in our diagram? What is this?
I don't know.
The butt.
That is the end of the large intestine called the colon. And so because the prostate gland is sort of right next door to the colon, the doctor can use their fingers to feel if the prostate gland is enlarged because it's right next to the colon. So that's how they check to see if the prostate gland is enlarged.
Okay.
Wait, there was
All right,
no-
starting.
no
What?
questions today, right?
Sean.
No questions today, right?
Right, study quietly 5 minutes. Tomorrow we'll talk about the female reproductive system.
That kid, tell me this.